What's up, everybody? It's your boy DJ Optimus Prime, ain't no bitch, and welcome to another episode of Reel Me In, a movie podcast. On this week's episode, Joel and I will take a look at the world of movie news that have, there's a bunch of bombs that dropped throughout the week, Han Solo, and a couple of trailers that dropped, and we will discuss and commentate on those, and give our review on the 85th Transformers entry, Transformers, the last dark of the revenge of the last night fallen moon, and we will give you our thoughts on that, and of course the box office results for the weekend. What will we think about the 105th installment of the Transformers franchise and all the week of movie news and movie trailers? We're going to have to sit down, relax, and find out. What is up, everybody, on this wonderful Sunday evening, and welcome to another episode of Reel Me In, a movie podcast, where you didn't really ask for it, but hey, we're going to give it to you anyways. This podcast is co-hosted by Joel C. and myself, Chase Lee. How's it going, everyone? And hey, listen, if you accidentally stumbled across this podcast, and you're not really a podcast listener or even a movie fan, well, I can bet you at least $5 that Joel and I can convince you to be one. This is episode 188, and we're getting there to the good old 200 mark and the 4-year mark. It is we're on the road to that point, so it should be a lot of fun. And before we begin, if you guys are listening live right now, or if you are listening to this after we get done posting it, please comment down below and join in on the conversation. I like to talk with you guys and really kind of get a taste of what you guys like and what you guys dislike, how much you dislike me and how much you love Joel. I get it. We like to play favorites here, and that's just what we do. The structure of the show for this week, we will go over the plethora of movie news. I think that's the correct word for that. We will have some trailers to also talk about, and then we will have our review of the 122nd installment of the Transformers franchise, Transformers: The Last Night, and of course the box office results for the weekend, which Joel, it is his week to guess. And speaking of Joel, he's in the corner over there. He's ready to... He is such a hard-on for anything Michael Bay produces or directs. He just cannot wait to talk about. He's bursting at the seams. Joel, what's going on?
I'm bursting at the seams. I'm just kidding. I'm good. It's been a busy week. Nothing like your week, I know, but it's been a busy week. But I'm doing well.
That's it.
How are you? Work, basically. That's kind of it. So. Wow.
Well, as you guys can tell, you guys have chosen us as your movie podcast for the week, and you realize that we're both boring as shit. My week was it was a little interesting. On Monday night at 2 a.m., I had another inflammation in my colon, if you will. You guys know this, and if you don't know, if you're new, I have Crohn's, so I periodically am in the hospital. Sometimes I'll have flare-ups, and it will hurt like a bitch. And I will say that when I got home on Thursday, the doctor has prescribed me steroids for my colon, and so I've been reaping the benefits of being drugged up on steroids, and it has sucked ass. It basically has like withdrawal syndromes, like nausea, slight headache, cold sweats, and just your heart is erratically beating, and then it'll slow down. It's so fucking odd, man. So I'm just letting you guys know up front that I am drugged up. So Joel hasn't really stopped me from saying anything just yet, but I'm just letting you guys know I'm a little loopy, but I'm still cognizant, so I will give you that. So just give you guys a fair warning. But yeah, that was my week, but that's okay though, because my favorite part of the week is doing this for you guys. Joel, are you ready to do this, sir?
I am ready to do this. I think I'll hand the first piece of news over to you.
All right, so movie news. Let's jump right into it, because there was a shit ton. Joel's going to talk about the big one for the week, but I'm also going to talk about another big one, which I think will lend well to this movie, and that would be adding Carnage to the Venom movie. Now, if you guys don't know who Carnage is, or even know who Venom is, Venom and Carnage are both villains in the kind of Spider-Man world of the Marvel Comics, and so it was released this week that Carnage will be the villain. This makes perfect sense. If you guys want to know the distinction between Venom and Carnage, because I know they look similar, one's red and one's black, Venom is played by Eddie Brock, who has ties with Peter Parker. He's friends with them. He kind of, gets infected with the symbiote, if you will, and he starts to become kind of an anti-hero. So it's a perfect mirror to the Peter Parker character. Carnage is a different story. It's the character is sorry, I had the name right here. Cletus Cassidy, and he's actually a serial killer, and the symbiote actually gets involved with him. So if the symbiote, might turn a good guy into an anti-hero, what the fuck do you think the symbiote's going to do when it touches a serial killer? You're going to basically become Carnage on the streets, and you're going to be mowing people down. So I think having this character to kind of one-up the Venom character makes total sense. And I actually cannot wait to see a good rendition, a good dark rendition of the Carnage character. Because they have specifically said that the Venom movie will be rated R, and, if they're going to be adding Carnage, they could be going to some places, Joel, some really dark corners of society. So I'm actually really looking forward to this quite a bit. Now, the other piece of news, this is more of a rumor because they haven't really hammered out the deal yet, but Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal being the producer over at Sony, and Kevin Feige being our overlord and Disney Marvel side, they were doing press for Spider-Man Homecoming, and Amy Pascal kind of let slip that Spider-Man might be in these kind of spin-off type of movies, whether it be the Black Cat movie or the Venom movie. Kevin Feige kind of gave a look, and the look kind of just said, hey, we're not really done with the deal yet. I don't know what we're going to do yet, so let's just pause and pump the brakes there. So is it possible that Spider-Man could show up in like these spin-off movies, and especially an R-rated movie? I don't really know about that, because people tend to forget that Marvel is owned by Disney. Disney's got to keep a family image, so if you put Peter Parker like this rendition into an R-rated movie, it's not going to make sense for them business-wise. But if Spider-Man's going to be in there, I'm fine with that, because obviously it's his villains. But as far as the Carnage story goes, I absolutely love this choice. It's going to be a great back and forth between him and Venom, and I think when you have a serial killer that gets attached with this like symbiote, you better be hiding. Let's just say that. So Joel, what do you think about this? Do you think Carnage is the right villain for a Venom standalone?
Well, I mean, I've talked about on the show before, I'm not a huge comic book guy. I'm vaguely aware of Carnage. I think that it could be an interesting. Let's face it, it's going to be a second villain, because Venom already is a villain.
Well, I would consider, like I said, he's more of an anti-hero, and if you throw in a serial killer, I mean, obviously he's going to be the villain.
That's true. It'll be interesting, especially with this R rating. They can kind of go a little farther, so that would be good. I'm certainly interested to see who plays against Tom Hardy in that case. Especially considering we know Tom Hardy, when he plays comic book characters, to play a pure villain. We haven't seen him play a good comic book character yet, or a semi-good, I should say. So it'll be interesting to see who he's up against. Whether, will they just get an actor and have him play the role entirely out of character, or not out of character. I guess, goodness me, it's against type. Like, maybe get somebody that we usually see in a good role, perhaps put him in the Carnage role, so you have an interesting dynamic there of like the guy who's usually threatening playing the quote unquote hero of the movie against some actor that we don't ever think of as a villain playing that one. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, especially who they cast. As far as the Spider-Man thing goes, I don't know. It looked more to me like Kevin Feige in that interview had absolutely no idea what Amy Pascal was talking about. That's what I got from that interview. But we'll see. When it comes to the Tom Holland Spider-Man in an R-rated movie, I don't know. He's a teenager. I feel like they might want to keep him in the PG-13 friendly movies. But we'll see. I mean, maybe not. I know that, and I'm not saying teenagers don't cuss. I'm just saying I just feel like he is right now sort of appealing to the teenagers, and I feel like they want to keep that right now, especially considering he's only just having his own movie out. He's only been in otherwise once. This thing I think comes out next year, so I feel like they'll want to keep him in there. But again, what I felt was from the look that that Feige gave the interviewer, or I guess Amy Pascal, was, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I don't know if like she just sprung out like some random bit of news, or I'm not sure. But certainly this is all coming together. Carnage is certainly the more pressing matter right now. You know, who's cast and how you know, what kind of storyline they use. That'll be fun to find out. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're right. I don't think Tom Holland's probably going to show up in these movies because he has a 6-film contract, and none of his films in his contract even list any type of spinoff. They're all either Spider-Man standalones or Avenger type team ups. So we will have to see. But great pick on the villain. Holy shit! God, like that's going to be intense. If they can really push that R rating, you can make a really good kind of Venom Carnage movie. But so Joel, what about you? What in the news pool this week would you like to dip your toe in and grab and read to us?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much going to have to publish a book about all of this that happened this week to Star Wars. So as we all know, I think a Han Solo movie is coming out in a couple of years, like within the next 2 years. We assume, I don't know with this news, but this week, directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were dropped from the project. They were sort of weird, conflicting news stories, like that they had left the project on their own, or they had been fired, or what. I feel like they were amicably let go because what had happened was the higher-ups, of course the producers, got the dailies of their 4 months of shooting thus far on the movie and found out that there was too much improv. You know, with these movies, especially with Disney, when you have a screenplay and you have a plan, you write the screenplay within the, you know, the rigid rules of the plan of this big franchise. They wanted a specific plan, a specific script, and the directors kept going off script with their actors. They had changed like drastic parts of the story, and so they were, I feel like they were amicably let go, but they had 4 months of shooting in. So this is weird, but they were let go in the midst of general, like actual production of the movie. So it felt like for a day there that they were scrambling, you know, that they were going to be scrambling to find somebody to take over, but they weren't. Apparently this, I guess, has been in the works for a while. Maybe they found that out a while ago, and they've been cooking up this plan, and it just broke this week in 2 parts. But the other part is that to take their place, Ron Howard has been chosen to finish the project. So here's what I'm wondering. Before I get into what I think about Ron Howard taking over this, here's what I'm wondering. Are we going to get the rare, well, not rare, almost unheard of case of a movie perhaps having 3 director credits? Ron Howard, Phil Lord, and Christopher Miller? Or are they just going to basically like legacy that over to Ron Howard and say, so you're going to take credit for this even though you didn't shoot it? Because I feel like they probably, you know, don't, I mean, I'm sure that they could afford this, but I feel like they wouldn't want to just throw away four months of shooting. I don't know if they have a contingency for something where it's almost half the entire, you know, movie production. More than half, probably, if it was about a 6-month shoot. And I mean, you know, it's weird, but I feel like that's where my feelings about Howard comes in. I feel like he's a good, solid, safe choice because I feel like he's a good person to stick with that rigid plan. He is a director who has a lot of the personality is in his filmmaking rather than his direction of actors. Not that he isn't a good director of actors. I think he is. He's directed some to Oscar nominations and wins and all that. But he doesn't do stuff like, have them improv. I feel like out of his respect, his friendship with George Lucas specifically, and his respect for the material, as he's made pretty clear over the last day, I feel like he'll be able to stick, with their plan, with their path, and produce a good, solid studio product. I think that Ron Howard in good, solid studio product mode is pretty good. I liked two of the Robert Langdon movies. I liked The Da Vinci Code, and I really liked Angels and Demons. Inferno had its moments. I wasn't a huge fan overall, but it had its moments. It was well directed on a visual level, and he's done other things. He hasn't done much with franchises, but nevertheless, he also did The Grinch, and I'm a huge fan of The Grinch. I think it's a really underrated movie. So I think that he can get this fantastical stuff and pump out a good solid movie. I mean, I have to wonder if they're going to keep any of the stuff that's been shot, perhaps as flavor, here and there. If some of it sticks within the plan, maybe they'll use it. In which case, do Phil Lord and Christopher Miller just become uncredited directors? What happens there? It's far enough into the shooting that this has to be a question. But nevertheless, huge week for this movie. Weird week, but huge week. A lot of movement. I'm excited for this movie. I think that, on the one hand, I feel like we've learned everything we can know about Han Solo. Doesn't seem to be much, but in terms of Star Wars, I'm excited. I would be excited for Star Wars if it was directed by a pimply 7th grader and then projected onto a grimy bathroom wall in a broken down Starbucks. I would watch that. So I'm excited for anything that comes out, but this is going to be interesting. I have to wonder where it goes from here. So, what about you?
So, as you guys know, I'm not like the biggest Star Wars fan. I've been very vocal about that. That's why, Joel does all these stories and whatnot, and I'm sure every single time when we review a goddamn Star Wars movie, I'm going to let Joel take over the episode. But when stuff like this happens, I honestly don't care. Whether they like hire a director or whatnot, or script changes, reshoots. It's whatever. It's part of the game. But this is a fascinating piece of news. When you have directors that've been shooting this thing for 6 months, and it comes out they're done, they're fired, they're let go. They didn't clearly have the same vision. It's like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. When you have all these pre-production plans and you're meeting with these people and you're like, okay, what kind of movie are we going to make? And you want to make sure you're both on the same page. And when you get the dailies, it's not what you want. It's just kind of weird. So a Phil Lord and Christopher Miller movie would have been different. It would have been something kind of outside the ballpark, and I think that's something that you kind of need to keep this franchise fresh, because if you keep doing the same stuff over and over again, people will catch on. And that's where the problem of Ron Howard comes in, is exactly what you said. It's safe. I want them to try something different. Now, Ron Howard hasn't been doing well. He's more of a hit and miss now, but he's been directing movies since, the 80s and stuff, and so he's got some clout under him. Like, he's got some prestige, when you think about, A Beautiful Mind or Cocoon, Splash, the Robert Langdon movies, Rush, and Into the Heart of the Sea. Like, he's done a lot of older stuff, some modern stuff. Cinderella Man, great example of a great character movie. So he's kind of got this range to where he can take this like fantasy element of a Han Solo movie in the Star Wars universe and make it work for sure. Like, I always thought Ron Howard had the kind of like vision of like a Steven Spielberg, where it's like they always create like these like really fantastically driven like blockbustery movies, and like they're enjoyed by everyone and whatnot. And when they kind of venture off, that's where they kind of lose people, because as much as I like okay, so case in point with Steven Spielberg, I like his serious dramatic stuff more, but if you ask like the general going public, they're gonna like his kind of bigger, more well-known properties like Jurassic Park and Jaws and whatnot. And Ron Howard's the same way. He's the same type of director. When he kind of ventures off and does something different, it's not really received well. But when he goes back to these kind of bigger blockbuster movies, he's well received for the most part. So I think it's a safe bet. I'm not really stoked that he's doing it. Like I said, Rush was really great, and that's probably my favorite modern Howard movie that he's done. We'll have to see. But I think Joel brings up a great question: is how is this credit going to work? Because they've already shot for 6 months. Now they're taking like a couple weeks off, let Ron Howard get his footing, and they're going to pick up shooting in July, and they also have reshoots scheduled for the fall. So at that point, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller did all of pre-production. They did about 75% of production. Ron Howard's going to come in and do the last 25%, plus the research, plus post-production. If you kind of add that together, Joel, I don't know if my math is correct, it's almost like a 50-50 split between Lord Miller and Howard. So I don't know, is this going to be one of those weird cases where we get a film directed by 3 people? I don't know how the DGA rules work, the Director Guild Association, so I don't know, who's got the majority. Like, because I was reading this article that said that in the DGA rules, if you shoot like a specific percentage of the movie, you can actually cut your own cut together. So the fact that Phil Lord and Christopher Miller have done all this work, I'm wondering if they could actually do their own cut. So I don't know. Very weird, fast-moving story throughout the week. Ron Howard, not really my go-to pick, but he's going to make what Disney and Star Wars or Lucasfilm wants him to do. So they're going to get what they ask for with Ron Howard. He's he plays by the rules. That's why he's been in the business forever. Ever since him acting as Little Opie in the Andrew Griffith Show. So we will have to see. You know what we won't have to see, Joel? Back in January, when I turned the miserable age of 27, I got a free movie ticket, for my birthday, because Alamo Drafthouse fucking rocks, and I hope you guys can sponsor the show one day. But until then, I will continue to go there because it's my favorite theater chain, right? So every birthday, you get a free ticket. Joel, since my birthday was in January, what do you think I spent my free birthday ticket on?
You spent it on monster trucks. I'm just kidding. I'm guessing that you spent it on Triple X.
I did. So I saw Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage for free, and rightfully so, because it is what it is. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's silly popcorn trash. And so when I walked out of that movie, I was like, man, that wasn't really good. We'll see how it does in the box office. It didn't do that well domestically, but it fucking killed overseas. This is one of those Warcraft scenarios where it did not do well here, but it killed overseas. And guess what? For that very reason, they're doing another movie with Vin Diesel returning. He just cannot escape his 3 franchises. He's either going to be doing Riddick, Triple X, or Fast and Furious for the rest of his days. Anytime when he ventures off, it's just not going to work for him financially and stuff. So he's going to have to stick to his franchises. I really don't care about this, but this just goes to show you the power of the foreign box office market. And this is a great story to bring up because Transformers is a prime example of what happens when you release a movie overseas. It kills overseas, and it makes little drops in the bucket over here. So it makes sense business-wise to do it. I will still go see it because, believe it or not, I actually enjoy the cheesy goofballness of these movies. Number 3 was just, like I said, it is what it is. You go there to watch the stunts. You don't go there for the incredible character development and wonderfully impeccable dialogue. You just don't go to these movies for that shit. So if they make another one, which it looks like they are, Vin Diesel is returning, I will go see it. I will probably go to the Alamo Drafthouse so I can get some fucking alcohol and be blasted out of my gourds while I watch it, because that's the best way to enjoy it. And I mean that as a compliment. So, Joel, on a scale of 0 to 5, how much do you not give a shit? 0 being I don't give a shit, and 5 I don't give a shit.
Well, I guess 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep my thoughts short. I don't have many. You could do worse than Triple X movies with Vin Diesel in them. Case in point, this could be a Triple X movie with Ice Cube in it. and I did not like that at all. I didn't like either of the other two movies either. I mean, you could do worse than them. That's like the highest praise I can give them. They're just kind of blah for me. So I don't really care. I mean, I saw the new one because I could review it. We'll see with the next one. Kind of depends on when it comes out. But yeah, I really have no thoughts other than that. This is not my series. So
I have officially killed Joel during that news piece. All right, so Joel, what do you got for the next big thing? Because I gave Joel a lot of really big topics this week, so I'm actually really curious to see where he's going to go next.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. Okay. So one of my favorites is retiring. One of the best living actors, Daniel Day-Lewis, perhaps most prominently known as Abraham Lincoln from the Steven Spielberg movie from a few years ago. He's great in that. He also won his Oscar for There Will Be Blood back in 2008. And he's done some other great work. Everybody needs to watch Gangs of New York right now. He's absolutely terrifying in that movie. Also, honestly, I think this might be my favorite work from him. It's less. It's The Age of Innocence also from Martin Scorsese. It's less eccentric and easily iconographic, I guess, than some of his other performances. But it's an incredible piece of work. It's one of the great Scorsese movies. Go seek that out. It's kind of hard to find on DVD. You'd have to go to probably Amazon, but movie rental places to find it most effortlessly. Actually, it would take a lot of effort. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, nevertheless, he's retiring after this year's movie with PTA, Phantom Thread, I believe it's called, about fashion in the 50s. And he plays a ruthless fashion icon because, obviously, if you have Daniel Day-Lewis, the character, one of the modifiers is ruthless. That's basically what he plays. And this is very sad. He's not done much. There was that period of time where he went off to Italy to become a cobbler. And that was the last time we went through something like this. That didn't last very long, of course, but this is permanent. He's famous for doing maybe 2 roles and then taking a long break and then doing 2 more. But now, he's reached that age where I feel like he's just kind of done. He's done good work. He's just not going to do anything else. I'm going to see. He's 60. So this would be perfect. He's quitting at the age of 60. And, he leaves behind a great legacy. He's one of the great actors, I think, of all time. I'm looking at his bio here. He was in the Royal Shakespeare Company. I mean, the guy was, learned with the best of them. He was knighted back in 2014 to Sir Daniel Michael Blake Day-Lewis. He's a method actor. He's known for that. We're going to lose a great voice, but we're going to be able to look back at his work with a lot of, what is the word I was looking for? Oh my gosh. Never mind.
Joel is just so speechless from the news that he can't even comprehend his thoughts.
I can't. But it's very sad news. So
yeah, you're right. He's one of the greatest of all time, and I remember watching him for the very first time. Yes, I'm a little late to the party, but back when I was in high school, and I just wanted to watch, probably early college, I watched There Will Be Blood for the first time because one of the people I met in film school, he was a huge PTA fan, and at that point, I only saw Boogie Nights because I was 13, and I wanted to see Heather Graham's tits. So, going through school and talking to him and whatnot, I wanted to go back and rewatch all of his catalog to kind of understand his films a little better. And he's made some of my favorite movies in my collection. Joel's got one of them. He's the master. Magnolia, There Will Be Blood. Boogie Nights, like he's so good. And so the fact that he's actually going to team up with PTA again to do his last film is awesome. He's going to go out on top because you know that PTA always takes care of his movies. He doesn't just throw them together. Yes, I even like Inherent Vice, which is probably his most divisive one as of late. It's going to be nice to see him kind of reteam with the one guy to give him his second Oscar win for sure. But yeah, this is just sad, man. But you know what? Let him do his thing, man. Like all these people that are running around with articles like, you know, why is he doing this? It's like, motherfucker, he doesn't owe you anything. This is you know, a job that he wanted to do. He has done it for several decades now. It's not like he's only been acting for 5 years and he quit. No, like Joel said, he's going to leave behind a legacy, and especially with as many memorable performances from him, he's going to definitely stand out amongst the giants in the acting community. But yeah, it's a very sad piece of news. But like we said, it's not done yet. He's still got one more to come out this Christmas, which I'm sure Joel and I are both looking forward to because, come on, it's Paul Thomas Anderson. So yeah,
you know what I kind of wish because Scorsese's got this Netflix the Irishman. What I kind of wish, because it's going to be a bit of a, it's going to be a gangster movie, but not a Goodfellas. It's going to be more apparently going to be a little more reserved. What I kind of wish, because there's so many actors in it already, that maybe he would, you know, maybe make 2018 his last year. Maybe get into that, because what I'm hearing, you know, whispers of Anthony Hopkins joining that cast, and what would be great is Daniel Day-Lewis joining the cast. Then we have Pacino, De Niro, Pesci, Day-Lewis, and I'm hearing, I don't know where from, but I'm hearing, I can't remember where I read it, Anthony Hopkins might be joining it. I don't know. That would be an insane cast, and I would love that. But nevertheless, you know, PTA is a worthy that's a worthy collaboration to end your career on.
Yeah, and I think when we get to it, I think Anthony Hopkins definitely needs something to bounce off of from the movie that we're about to discuss. But another movie, or something else that needs to be kind of bounced off of because the last film was not received very well, is Paul Feig. Paul Feig, whatever the fuck you say it. He has directed Bridesmaids, The Heat, Spy, and of course last year's notorious Ghostbusters for all the wrong fucking reasons. Anyways, he's going to come back and direct a new film starring Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, and it's going to be more of a thriller. So it's not going to really have it's probably going to have some comedy elements to it, but it's going to be more of a straight thriller, and I kind of like that. I like when you do 4 comedies in a row like this, and you go, hey, my last one wasn't really successful. Let's try something different. Let's do what kind of sticks to the wall. And so I actually kind of enjoy this. Anna Kendrick, I think, is a capable actress, but she keeps doing these, kind of safe comedy roles that are just not working for her. We'll get to one of those trailers in just a second. And, of course, Blake Lively, I mean this in the best way possible. So don't take this wrong. Blake, if you're listening, if Ryan Reynolds was not in Deadpool, she would not be where she's at today. And that's not a knock on her, but I'm glad that, the success of Ryan Reynolds is kind of pushing up his wife a little bit more into more roles, because I actually really enjoyed The Shallows from last year. I mean, she carries the film. She's the only one in the film besides a CGI shark and maybe one of her friends in the beginning. So her kind of coming out and doing more of these roles, using probably Ryan's connections and whatnot is great. And I'm glad that she's going to be doing more stuff like this. And the pairing of Blake and Anna, I'm picturing in my head, and I think it actually kind of works, but I think the real story is Paul doing something different and doing a different genre, which, if it is delivered correctly, we can get back in the good graces, because if you want to look at his catalog so far, Ghostbusters is definitely the weakest. If you want to look at The Heat and even Spy, he knows how to shoot action. So if you apply that to this thriller mindset, maybe have a little blend of an action thriller, or maybe if it's a psychological thriller, I don't know, it could actually work. And I think he's an interesting pick for it. but I'm glad he's going to do something different that is not a PG-13 Ghostbusters. So, because he's one of those directors to where I've seen 3 of them. Out of the three out of the 4 I've seen so far have been rated R, and they've all been very enjoyable. I hate to say it, but I think he works better in the R-rated realm. So, Joel, if Paul Feig were to come out with a movie that's a straight-up thriller, and especially with these 2 ladies leading it, would this be something that you would want to see?
Oh, yeah. It'll be his first non-comedy feature film since I Am David way back in 2004. That was one that was I think it was a Holocaust drama that he did that had some thriller elements in it. And so that'll be his first feature in a theater to be a drama that's, is something out of the comedy realm, and I'm certainly interested. The furthest he can get from Ghostbusters, the better. I was not a fan of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested. I like the actresses. I like the idea. I like the title. It's called A Simple Favor, which is a nice little title. I think the pairing of Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively is great. I have a huge celebrity crush on Anna Kendrick. I think she's one of the prettiest people working right now. I think that Blake Lively is good. At least with good material. I wasn't a huge fan of The Age of Adeline, but nevertheless, she's done well. I think that her best performance was in The Town way back.
Yes, that was a good one.
Small role, but good role. And I think that she can work in this area, as The Shallows, certainly proves. So interesting news. I'm excited to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, it was just one of those kind of like little nuggets of news that kind of popped throughout the week. I was like, I like that. So that's why I put it in the rundown. So Joel, let's throw it back at you. I've hit the tennis ball back. What are you going to hit back with?
Yeah, so speaking of directors taking on unexpected projects.
That was a great segue, Joel. That's probably the best one you've done so far. I was like, because there's 2 more left. And I was like, which one is Joel going to go with? And once he said that, I was like, you son of a bitch. That was a great segue.
Well, it was funny because I was about to do the other one, and I was like, wait, no, hold on. Okay, so Eli Roth has basically made his career, except for, I think, Knock Knock. I didn't see that, but with torture porn, quote unquote. Some of it's simplistic torture porn, some of it isn't. Nevertheless, he's been doing torture porn for the last 10 years. So he's decided to shift completely into the young adult adaptation area with an adaptation of, let me see the novel's author, John Bellairs' The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which is a great title. I love that title. And this is about a young boy. He's an orphan. He has found a lot of secret hidden tunnels and magic in his uncle's house. And the uncle turns out apparently to be a warlock. This just sounds really interesting. It's still sort of in the horror kind of genre, which will, certainly be a good draw for Roth. I'm sure that he read that and was like, oh man, I want to do this. And it'll be for Amblin Entertainment, which is neat. I like that very much. And yeah, I mean, it's Eric Kripke's going to be scripting it. It's probably going to come out, I would guess, probably sometime a couple years. Jack Black's going to be who is Jack Black playing? I don't know if we've gotten that yet. But Jack Black's going to be in it, which is interesting, an interesting pairing as well. Especially considering Jack Black's about to be in a Gus Van Sant movie with Joaquin Phoenix. He's pairing up with, unexpected people. So yeah, I'm excited to see this. I don't know much about the book. I'll certainly seek it out, see what it's like. But yeah, I'm very excited.
I did a little research on it. You said it was more of a kid kind of novel, right? Like for children?
Sounds like a young adult.
Young adult, okay. That makes perfect sense to me. First of all, Eli Roth, whether you like him or not, the guy knows how to do slasher films. He knows how to create atmosphere. He knows how to create mood. Yes, I said that. Eli Roth knows how to do that. Jack Black is a perfect casting choice because I saw 30 minutes of Goosebumps. That movie fucking slayed. So if they can actually appeal to that kind of like Lemony Snicket type of audience, you could actually have a good hit on your hands, and Eli Roth could actually boost his career up with this movie and do something a little less than what he usually does. But yeah, the title is great. The director choice sounds really great. And Jack Black, hey, if Goosebumps kills it, then you're going to be in more movies like that. And of course, he's got Jumanji coming out this year, and like you said, Gus Van Sant. So, dude, Jack Black, he's just he's coming out of the woodworks a little bit. He took a break, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a step back, and I'm gonna kind of reevaluate my career. And he kind of comes back and does all this stuff where it's like, okay, I'm totally down. So, speaking of horror, this news story it just gets me so giddy. And Joel's response is going to literally be 2 words, and it's going to be, who cares? But I'm going to tell you what I think about it because I love the whole franchise. That's right, all 7 movies. I love the Saw franchise. So Saw 8 is coming out this fall. It has been tradition for me and one of my high school friends to actually go see them in theaters. So yes, I actually contributed money to 4, 5, 6, and 7 in theaters. I paid money to go see them because I actually love the series. I love the kind of whole police crime solve mystery, fucking horror, blood, all that shit. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. A lot of people will just say they like the first one, kind of disregard the other ones. To be honest with you, if you want to look at the stronger movies, if you do 1 to 3 and literally stop after that, it's actually a pretty good little trilogy. But I actually like all 7 of them. So I was a little hesitant when the seventh one is called the final fucking chapter. That's what it actually should have said on the Blu-ray, the final fucking chapter. But when you have a title like that, you go, okay, this is going to be the last one. And the way they ended it was kind of a nice little tie-in to the first. So I was like, oh, okay, they're done with it. It was good. Let's move on. They said they were going to do an 8th one. And, you know, I'm still a little hesitant on it. But as a fan, I'm still curious to see what the hell they're going to do with it. But the title has been revealed, and it's going to be called Jigsaw. And I can tell you this right now, it's probably going to be a prequel. Because, spoiler alert, Jigsaw died in 3 with a fucking saw to his neck. However, he left behind a bunch of tapes that have plagued throughout 4, 5, 6, and 7, which I thought was a pretty ingenious way to carry his legacy. He's kind of got that like haunted boogeyman aspect about him, where it's like he's not in the movie, he's not even in the same room, but his voice, it just kind of echoes throughout the halls, and you're like, Jesus Christ, that guy sounds creepy. But with this one called Jigsaw, it's probably going to be a prequel, or they're going to continue on his legacy. And not actually have it be about the character, but more about the essence of a Jigsaw type of serial killer who is basically Dexter. He captures people and kind of tortures them for their kind of sins type of deal. So I'm excited for it, but I'm still a little hesitant because I don't know if they're going to go that prequel route or just have more of the essence of his name and kind of carry on with a newer person. I don't know. I always like these movies quite a bit. I actually own all 7 of them in that nice little Blu-ray collection. So yes, Jigsaw is the 8th titled film. I've been waiting all week to fucking talk about that because I'm one of the few people in the universe that actually likes all 7 of them. And if you still hate them, there's one positive that I think we can all agree on is that, well, 2 of them. First of all, Lee Winnell, who wrote the first 3, also has written the Insidious franchise, and he also wrote or co-wrote, and he starred in Cooties, which has my first official pull quote on the back of it, so I gotta give him that. And the second thing, the first one gave us James Wan. People tend to forget that James Wan directed the first Saw, made that movie for $1 million, and it fucking killed. I think it made like 30 or 40 worldwide. Or hell, maybe even more. Anyways, it was a very profitable horror film back in the day. I still remember it. Everyone was talking about that damn twist. and it definitely showcased the talents for James Wan. So at least if you hate the franchise, Joel, we can agree that it gave us James fucking Wan. Anyways, I know Joel doesn't give two flying rat shits about this, but Joel, what do you think about this?
Who cares?
Perfect.
Here's the thing. And this is gonna be Chase is gonna be hurt psychologically and.
Joel, I'm already hurt psychologically just for you on a daily basis.
Okay, he's gonna be hurt philosophically by this. I stopped watching this series when it ended with the third one.
Hey, listen, rightfully so, because it does kind of wrap up that storyline, so I get it.
Yeah, and that's the only storyline I remotely cared about. I mean, it just feels like they had an excuse to carry it on. I'll watch the rest of them at some point, I'm sure, but whatever. If I'm super bored, I really don't care. I'm not seeing this, certainly when it comes out. I'm probably not going to catch up with the other ones before it comes out. So,
Joel, we're having a Saw watch party at my house, and you're totally invited. You can watch all 7 with me, and we can enjoy it. But wait, did you go silent? You haven't really responded.
As long as you don't ask me if I want to play a game first.
Okay. Well, I actually call Joel at 3 a.m. every single night saying that. So like, Joel, you want to play a game? And I just hang up, and he's like, "Wow, that was kind of weird." And I was just like, "Did you even know who that was?" And he's like, "I got caller ID, jackass." So, Saw 8 is entitled Jigsaw. Joel, your last story makes my head hurt. Would you please explain why?
Yeah, speaking of who cares. All right, so there's another Fantastic Four reboot coming out because the first time it happened, it was, in the mid-2000s, and nobody cared because they were both terrible. And then it happened again, and the result was, for me at least, the worst superhero movie ever made. Worse than either of the two from the 2000s. And now they're rebooting it again, and it's going to be apparently rumored to be about, what are their names? Hold on.
Reed Richards and Sue Storm.
Well, I know their names. Reed Richards and Sue Storm's children, Franklin and Valeria Williams.
First of all, those are terrible names.
Yeah, they are. Who names their kids Franklin anymore, and why? But nevertheless, maybe he's going to be Frankie. I don't know. I hope. So, of course, there have been no real stated plans to incorporate the Fantastic Four into the MCU, even though it would make sense at this point, because there's already a lot of characters. Might as well add 4. But there's no plans yet. Nevertheless, Fox is going to try to, milk this cow as long as they can make it work. Means that we'll probably be seeing these movies rebooted until the 2040s or something, until they get the picture. This one is trying to do an X-Men New Mutants kind of thing, I guess. Incorporate kids into the franchise. Again, I don't really care. I don't really have any emotional attachment to these things. I didn't read the comics. I haven't liked any of the movies. They've all been uniformly bad or worse. So, whatever. I mean, I guess, I'm an optimist, so I'll see it, but I don't really have any hopes in it, I guess.
It's terrible. It's absolutely, when you think about what the 2015 version did, it just completely obliterated that franchise, and it's like there's no hope at all. Like, you guys know this. I'm a huge fan of superhero films. It almost makes Joel sick to his stomach on how much I fucking talking about the genre. However, I'm not blind either. So when a terrible one comes out, I'm going to call you out on it. And Fantastic Four was one of the worst movies of 2015, bar none. So you figure after 4 strikes, you'd be done. No, they want to do it again, and they want to do it more in a kind of kid-friendly, let's watch the kids do it. They're passing on the torch, pun intended. Like, it's just, it's so stupid. Why are they, just stop it. Listen, 20th Century Fox, I actually like you quite a bit. You know what? I actually love you. You have made one of my favorite films of the year so far. You have done a successful job with Deadpool and the X-Men franchise. You don't need to do any more. So just let Fantastic Four just set. Just stew like a fucking fart and blow off into the wind and let someone else take care of it. You've had 4 chances. I never saw the 90s version because, I don't need to. You can just watch stills from that and be like, ugh. You just get shudders. I don't like any of the Tim Story directed ones, and I actually hate the 2015 version. So it seems like whatever chance you get to make this film work, it just doesn't. It's just not in your favor. It's okay to let it go. So please, for the love of fucking God, let it go. I'm done talking about it. I'm done.
They should get Roger Corman to come in and direct it.
Oh, God. I saw Death Race 2050. I don't think we need to do that. All right, so, all right, and the last piece of news, which I just now looked at my notes, and I think Joel needs to just, keep a tab on every single time that, when I send him the notes, it autocorrects, because I was looking at it, I was like, what the I didn't type that, and I was like, God damn it, iPhone. So, I put in the notes, Never Campbell is supposed to star along the Rock and Skyscraper. I'm sure Joel looked at it and was like, he just rolled his eyes and was like, Jesus Christ. And so, it's Nev Campbell, fucking autocorrect, you bastard. So, Nev Campbell is going to star alongside The Rock in Skyscraper, one of The Rock's many movies to come out in the next year. I think he's got 50 planned. And so Nev Campbell is going to be in it. And I think this is really great just for her, because Nev Campbell kind of flew off the radar for a very, very long time. And when she kind of had her role in House of Cards, it kind of awoken me to the possibility that her career is going to skyrocket from the show. And it looks like she's taken the right necessary steps to do that, because Skyscraper, I'm hoping Baywatch doesn't kill his career, because Baywatch is god-awful, but, when The Rock is in the movie, it's going to make bonzo bucks at the box office. So if Nev Campbell can have a good blockbuster under her feet, then she can venture out and do more projects, and I think that's great. I love it when actors and actresses are popular in the 90s, they go away, and they kind of come back and have this resurgence. She's doing that in the right time frame of her career. She's really great in House of Cards, and so I think her kind of transitioning to blockbusters gives her the platform to kind of transform into other films. So her alongside The Rock could be interesting, but this story is more along the lines of seeing 90s stars pretty much go off into the distance and then kind of come back with a vengeance. So I actually like this piece of news because she's really great on House of Cards. Joel, what was the last Nev Campbell thing you saw besides Scream?
I'm a huge Nev Campbell fan, pretty much because of Scream. I love all of the movies, even Scream 3.
I actually like all 4 of them. I actually like the 4th one.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I meant. I love all of the movies, even Scream 3, which is the least popular, I think.
Tying into Transformers, which was written by Aaron Kruger, who has done, the majority of the franchise.
Talk about, one of those is a passion project, one of those is a for-hire thing. But nevertheless, I'm a huge fan of this news, as you said. I had completely forgotten, because I don't watch House of Cards yet. I will. I don't watch House of Cards. I had no idea she was in it. But you're right, that role will get her, a little more recognition. She can get back into some stuff. I think that she took a break because of kids. I think she had a kid or something. Anyway, I think it was because of motherhood. She kind of stepped back a bit, and she's getting back into it. I think that a big, blockbuster with Dwayne Johnson will be awesome. That's an awesome little step into it, because that's what people like right now. They like, except for Baywatch, apparently. They like big blockbusters with Dwayne Johnson on. He's in everything. So I think that that's a great way to get her some recognition, get her back into the thick of things, and I'm a huge fan of this. And also the movie sounds awesome. So I'm looking forward to all of it.
Yeah, it's just like I said. I think I love when actors or actresses they're popular for a good amount of time, they kind of go away and they kind of come back. Case in point, when I was reading my Entertainment Weekly magazine, they're doing the next American Crime Story with Versace, the fashion designer who got killed or whatever, and fucking Ricky Martin is in the cast, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I didn't even know he could act. So like, it's cool. It's cool to see like these people come back and whatnot. But yeah, Neve Campbell, if you have not seen her on House of Cards, what are you doing? First of all, that show is awesome. You know what is also awesome is transitioning to the trailers. But first, we have to ask you guys, what is your favorite piece of news? Please comment down below our faces and voices and let us know. Joel, what is your favorite piece of news? Because I know like the bigger pieces of news aren't really like amazing. They're more like kind of sad.
Yeah. Man, it's kind of hard. I'm excited for the Skyscraper movie. I think that it's going to be really fun time. So that's probably my favorite bit of like positive news.
Well, I can't wait to piss Joel off because the Saw 8 news is definitely my favorite. But a close second would probably be Carnage. So now Joel is dead.
Two words. Who cares?
Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, just who cares? That's okay. Like I realize that some of the movies I will say in front of Joel will make Joel's heart hurt so much that he actually might have to have surgery. So like I'm prepared to like have that kind of impact on him. All right, so moving on to some trailers. Joel, I'll let you go first, buddy. What did you want to talk about on your end?
Yeah, I got three pretty crazy dramas here. So the first one I guess I'm going to talk about is The Only Living Boy in New York. This is presumably named after the Simon and Garfunkel song. And it stars, oh my gosh, I've completely forgotten everything about this trailer. Wow, that happens sometimes, folks. It's because the trailer didn't really leave any sort of impression on me. I'm going to look up the cast right now. Oh, Kate Beckinsale. That's right. I knew it was somebody in a horror franchise. This is about a college graduate who finds out that his father is cheating on his wife, and the father is played by Pierce Brosnan. This does have quite a cast, I will say. It's got Cynthia Nixon as the wife that's being cheated on. It's got Jeff Bridges as sort of this, I guess, professor-ish kind of character who's trying to talk some sense into the main character, who is played, by the way, by Callum Turner. And if you liked Green Room, you will recognize this guy. He was one of the band members of the main band. And this one, it's weird. It looks fine, but I can already tell you that it's probably going to be really like disgustingly, offensively manipulative, because it comes from the screenwriter of The Space Between Us and Collateral Beauty. Alan Loeb wrote this one, although it does come from the director of 500 Days of Summer. Mark Webb's back. This is his second of the year after Gifted. And I think it looks okay. I'm hesitant just because of Alan Loeb's involvement, especially after being insulted by the Space Between Us. That movie is a piece of trash. But solid cast. I'm always up to see Jeff Bridges in anything, pretty much. I like the guy a lot. Pierce Brosnan's a solid actor in this kind of stuff, so I'm looking forward to that. But I really don't have many thoughts. I just, it's a solidly constructed trailer. It doesn't look all that appealing to me, I guess. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's an okay trailer. Like, I think Joel's right. It's very, very manipulative, for sure. The acting looks fine. Jeff Bridges looks weird without a mustache. Like, it's whatever. I guess I'm a little jealous of the main actor who probably gets to make out with Kate Beckinsale. That's probably my only like gripe, is that I'm just jealous, Joel. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But I love Mark Webb when he does stuff that's not Spider-Man. 500 Days of Summer is absolutely wonderful. It is a delightful little romantic comedy, and it's definitely one of my favorite ones in my collection. So it is poised to be something special, but it also could just like Gifted kind of flew under the radar, but people were still like they were like, oh yeah, it's a nice little movie, but it's one of those things to where I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 just hurt him so much that no matter what he comes out with, it just kind of gets swept under the rug. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm always curious to see Kate Beckinsale on something that's not in a very hot topic Twilight underworld movie. So, you know, I want to see her do more stuff. I know she's got some talent. Joel, you said one of your favorite movies last year was Love and Friendship, right?
Yeah, she was terrific in that.
Yeah, so I mean, like, she's got the chops. It's just she needs to not do Underworld anymore. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah. So going on to the next trailer. Oh God, I really just I don't know where to go. There's just I go in many directions, but I think let's just get this one out of the way. Pitch Perfect 3. What's up, pitches? You see, I try to be punny and very cool like the marketing department for this movie. First of all, I completely forgot they were making a third one. And second of all, I don't mean to be rude, but when I was watching the trailer, the whole time I was just thinking, oh, Rebel Wilson's still a thing. Like, it seems like she was a thing back in the 80s, and, like, she came back, and it's, like, the same shtick, and she's only been in stuff primarily since Bridesmaids back in 2011, so that's the whole time the whole thing I kept thinking about when I was watching. I was like, oh, yeah, Rebel Wilson, she's still doing her thing. I never saw the second one. I thought the first one was fun. I'm a sucker for anything a cappella, whether it be in movies or in real life. It's a lot of fun to kind of hear people, you know, sing the instrumental lines and whatnot. It just, I don't know, it's kind of got this nice harmonic opera feel to it and stuff. And it's also, you know, kind of fun and peppy. So the first one was fine. I heard the second one was not as good because, you know, Elizabeth Banks directed it and whatnot, and it was kind of her first movie. And she's directing this one. And, you know, after the comments she made about Steven Spielberg, which are kind of dumb, you know, I hope this movie flops, but it's not going to. It opens up on Christmas Day, I believe. If you're a fan of the franchise, sure. It looked like they were literally jumping the shark in the trailer, and I was just like, what am I watching? Like, I just don't care. Luckily, this is going to be the last one. Just fucking get out of college already. Like, why are you still in school? You guys are all like 30 years old. So I really don't care about this franchise. But yeah, Rebel Wilson was like kind of obnoxiously distracting in this one. So Joel, what say you? Do you even like the franchise, and what do you think of this trailer?
I liked the first one. I thought it was really sweet, and the music was good. The second one was awful. It was a complete train wreck. This one looks more along the lines of the second one to me. It looks cheap. It looks unfunny. I did not smile or chuckle or anything during this trailer. I think that the fact that the Anna Kendrick character Becca is trying to get out of this scene is very telling, because that's what the second one was about. And yeah, I just don't care. I just don't care about any of these people, with the exception of the weird Asian chick who always does the non sequiturs that are completely random. Those are funny, but other than that,
you brought up a good point. The quality of it looks like straight to video. Like,
yeah.
it looks really cheap, and I'm like, Universal, you're making a shit ton of money, and you can't, like, at least make one of your crap movies look good. Like, it just, yeah, the quality of it just looks really subpar. And I'm like, is this is coming out in theaters? Like, it just looks so odd. It just looks like literally something straight to VOD. So whatever. I'm done talking about this son of a pitch. So yeah, did you guys see what I did there? So Joel, what would you Joel, actually do the Miles Teller one. I will do the Boston one, and then we can jump into the Netflix ones.
Okay, so the next trailer is Thank You for Your Service. This is a drama. I don't know who directed it. It's about Miles Teller as a military guy who is coming home after a pretty disastrous event involving an IED. He's dealing with PTSD. He's dealing with a lot of, just a lot of conflict from everywhere. And this is a really good trailer from, just the editing, the song choice, which is Human from Rag and Bone Man. I love that song, and I love when it's used in trailers because it was used for the trailer for 13th last year, and it really meshes well with trailer editing, I think. And so it was a really great choice, especially for this. It kind of captured the feel of the movie, I think, for what they're getting at. And yeah, I mean, it looks like Miles Teller is solid. The weirdest thing about this trailer, though, and I don't know if you know who's in this movie, as in like a major character, and they don't even show her in the trailer. I have to wonder if it's to kind of keep the tone thing, level for now, is that Amy Schumer is in this. She is a major character, and I believe that this is her big break into drama. So I don't know who she plays. I'm not sure what the deal is there. But she is in this, and she's a major role. So they completely hid her from the trailer.
Yeah, rightfully so. Did you see Snatched?
Well, it's not that. I mean, I think that they were probably working on this trailer way before that. I think that what they were probably wanting to do, though, was just because the sight of Amy Schumer suggests comedy, because it's all she's really done so far. I think that they wanted to possibly maybe not have people like wrongfully think that it's going to be some comedy at some points. So I think that they wanted to keep the tone a certain way, and then maybe there'll be another trailer that they drop and she's in it. I feel like they can't absolutely hide her from the promotion of this movie. So at some point we're probably going to get another trailer and she's in it. But anyway, very interesting though. I think that's interesting, and I'm curious to see how she does in a drama. But nevertheless, this looks terrific. I think that this might be my favorite trailer that we're talking about this week.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it looks really strong, and I'm a huge fan of what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, so. I like the trailer as well. It's it definitely does have like an American Sniper vibe to it, which is not a bad thing, because that movie crushed. I didn't really care for the movie, but a lot of people do like military type movies and whatnot. And I've been saying this for years, and I've met him in person. He seems like a cool dude. But when you hear stories about him getting arrested for another drunk altercation in a bar somewhere, he does give off a douche personality, so I will give you that. But he's still one of the better actors working today, Miles Teller. I'm telling you, if you just watch Whiplash or The Spectacular now, you'll see what I'm talking about. The guy's got chops. It's just that, when you do like a big shit turd like Fantastic Four, of course you're going to go off the bender and probably doing a public intoxication bar match with someone. Like I would too. Damn, cut the guy a break. But I mean, when he keeps doing it, it does kind of get a little off-putting. But it looks really solid in the trailer. Looks very emotional. Looks like it's going to really kind of grip you with the feels. The way, like Joel said, it kind of edited and put together was really kind of exciting and kind of enthralling, and really wants you to get invested into this man's story. And it looks fantastic. I mean, there's really nothing more to say. It could really kind of throw a wrench into the Oscar season, which is always nice to see. And listen, if this movie's received well, and maybe possibly get Miles like a best actor nod or whatever, this is gonna really fucking help him, because I'm telling you, Whiplash only came out 3 years ago, so it's not like he does like just a bunch of shit and he'll have a couple gems every now and then. He does great stuff all the time. It's just that his antics are starting to get in the way of his career, so hopefully this kind of puts him back into the limelight. But it looks absolutely wonderful, for sure. Speaking of kind of heroic type of trailers, we have another one about the Boston Marathon bombing, the first one of which was Patriots Day, starring, hey, how's it going, Mark Wahlberg here. Did you know I was in the movie? That one was directed by Peter Berg, and he kind of capped off his tragic real-life event trilogy with Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon, and Patriots Day. Stronger has come out, the trailer, and it stars good old Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays one of the people that was at the Boston Marathon, and he gets his legs blown off, and we kind of see him, deal with the pain and suffering of that while dealing with his home life and whatnot. Okay, so a little full disclosure, I'm not going to name names, but someone that worked on the movie is got family members that live in Dallas, and I talked to them about this movie a couple years ago, actually, and they were telling me, just the whole process behind it, and I was like, this is going to be really interesting because we have Patriots Day coming out. Like, I'm just wondering how the two movies are going to kind of go head to head, and they were just kind of telling me some of the behind the scenes stuff, and I was like, well, that could be fascinating. And I do like Jake Gyllenhaal. Listen, I think Mark Wahlberg is a fantastic actor. Going back to PTA, that was one of the best roles he has ever done, which was Boogie Nights. He's a great actor, and he's got some really great scenes in Patriots Day. But make no mistake about it, Jake Gyllenhaal will blow him out of the water any day of the week. So obviously, Stronger's going to have like the foot forward in terms of talent. However, the trailer was fine, but my problem is the release window and the fact that we just got Patriots Day last year. My girlfriend is from the East Coast. She was around when that event happened, and it was something that was kind of tragic for that kind of community up there on the Eastern Coast. And so Patriots Day was like, it was a great movie. It was a nice homage to the brave men and women that day, and the police force and just the community and just everyone helping each other. And it was a really just enthralling theater experience. And I say what you want, but Peter Berg fucking nailed it twice last year because Deepwater Horizon was also good. That's a side note, but he definitely deserves that shout out. So I already saw my Boston Marathon bombing movie. Having one literally come out a year later it just doesn't sit well with me. And I told the person this when the trailer dropped. I messaged them and I was like, hey, listen, I saw the trailer. I like it and whatnot, but I am kind of worried that it's going to be competing with Patriots Day. Because I was being honest with them. Like I do like the trailer. It's a fine, well composed, emotional trailer. I'm just worried more about the release window from the other one. So, Joel, what did you think about this one? And I guess just a real quick, did you like Patriots Day?
Yeah, really big fan of Patriots Day. Despite the strangeness of the Mark Wahlberg character being a fictional composite of the Boston police, I kind of had a problem with the application of that character. But as a procedural, it was fantastic. I think Stronger looks really strong. I really like the trailer. I'm a huge fan of the director, David Gordon Green, when he does drama. And I think that Jake Gyllenhaal is going to really put himself into this role as he usually does. Prisoners, Nightcrawler, Donnie Darko, Brokeback Mountain. He's a great actor. I think it looks good. As far as the closeness, it's nothing compared to World Trade Center coming out 3 months after United 93.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad.
Yeah, which was, a bit of a tight window, and in my opinion, both of them were too soon. I mean, nothing really to do with the quality of the movies. I thought that they were both pretty terrific, but nevertheless, it's too soon for this. It's been less time now than it was for those two compared to 9/11. It's been just more than 4 years. I mean, I remember listening to every minute of that of the thing. I listened for 6 hours that day when the Boston Marathon bombing happened, because somebody tweeted out, and I happened to see it. Somebody tweeted out the Boston PD scanner or the police scanner thing. You can listen in live. Apparently, they do that over there. You can listen to anything at all the time live. And so I listened, and I listened and I listened and I listened. I did homework while I listened, but I mean, I listened to the whole thing as it was drawn out, and so I was right there. It was a terrifying day, and I think that as far as the too soon. See, here's the thing. When it comes to things being too soon, I'm of two minds. One, I feel like we should be respectful of the event. Maybe wait 10 years. I feel like by then we can have a conversation about, the confrontation of this through art. However, it's the confrontation of this through art. And if you can't confront it through art, what's the point of art? So I think that, if people want to make a movie, if they feel like they want their voice heard on this particular issue, then we should respect that. But then again, there is the respectfulness toward the families of the victims and the victims themselves and the whole situation. It's a gray area for sure. But I'm looking forward to the movie on the basis of the movie. I think that it's going to be quite good. Another strong David Gordon Green drama. The guy does really well when he's not doing a slapstick medieval comedy with Danny McBride. And
yes, I will give you that. But the man has also created probably one of my favorite Seth Rogen comedies, Pineapple Express.
Yeah, no, that one's great. Absolutely. And in fact, actually, I probably unfairly badmouthed his comedic ability because I was one of the few fans of The Sitter. I thought that was exceptional. I was a huge fan of that. But nevertheless, Pineapple Express is I think somebody described that one as Terrence Malick directed a Cheech and Chong movie, which I think is a great comparison because it's a really artfully filmed stoner movie. And it made my top 10 that year. That was the year of the comedy. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to this on the basis of it being a movie. I mean, I'm always a little queasy about the recent historical tragedy stuff, but nevertheless, looks good. So
yeah, and I just want to let you guys know, since I do kind of know someone that is related to someone that's involved with the production. I'm not promising anything, but I'll let Joel know who it is after we're done recording. But if I can get this specific person on, Joel and I can do a kind of co-interview, which would be really cool, because it's a major player involved with the movie. So I think it would be really cool if we can get this person and kind of talk to them about this movie and dealing with all these real life events and whatnot. So don't quote me on it, but I'm just saying if we can get something kind of near the release of it, that would be pretty fucking dope. All right, so that will be it for those trailers. Now we're gonna move on to the Netflix category because we always like talking about Netflix. It's one of those things to where this is a movie podcast, but it's something that's it comes out that's primarily on a streaming service. It looks good. We're going to talk about it, and of course I'm already on a Netflix high right now because I've started the show Glow, which I don't even like the Orange Is the New Black, but Glow is amazing. I actually really like that show quite a bit. It's from the same team. So Netflix, of course, they're always on a roll because I just got done with House of Cards and stuff. So
can't wait. Glow. I'm going to start that probably tonight or tomorrow. It looks absolutely terrific.
Joel, you're not going to sleep. You're probably going to plow through it. I'm actually on episode 5. 4 episodes whizzed by, and I was like, oh, that was 2 hours of my life. That's crazy. So, Joel, I'll let you go first with the first Netflix trailer of the week, and it's more of a dramatic one versus the one I'm going to be talking about.
Right. Okay. So mine is called To the Bone. Yeah, you undersold it. Undersold it. It's very serious. This one stars Lily Collins as a young woman with, I believe, there's 2 kinds, but I believe that she might have anorexia nervosa. I think that's what she has. If not, it's definitely bulimia. She's bulimic. This is about, I don't know if it's a series or a movie. I can't tell. I think it's a movie about her just kind of dealing with her anorexia / bulimia, her eating disorder basically, and kind of going into a helpful group and being helped by an older gentleman played by Keanu Reeves. Not sure who he plays in this, but nevertheless, it looks really strong. It looks like they had Lily Collins lose some weight, some dangerous weight, because it looks like she's genuinely thin here. If y'all remember, y'all who saw the Twilight movies, remember Kristen Stewart in, I think, part 1 of Breaking Dawn. This is what she looks like. And anyway, it looks like a really strong drama. Looks like it has a great cast, a great visual style. I'm really liking the visual style that Netflix drama has because it seems like very similar to the work that David Fincher does. Always has a Fincher feel to me. Um, and yeah, I'm just really excited for this in general. Looks like Lily Collins will maybe, I don't know, maybe this could be her breakthrough. I feel like she hasn't quite had a breakthrough yet. You know, she kind of comes in, she's in a movie, and then she kind of disappears for a while. You know, it happened with Mirror Mirror, and then the next thing she was in that was even remotely big was The Mortal Instruments, and we all know how The Mortal Instruments turned out. And I don't think she's really done much since then, so this should hopefully get her back into the spotlight. But yeah, it looks really strong. Very emotional. I think that there's going to be a lot of tough stuff that this movie confronts. That's very tough. The eating disorders are tough. I have multiple friends. I obviously won't name any names. I wouldn't name names of friends anyway, but of people close to me who have dealt with this stuff. I've seen it semi firsthand, destroy lives, and it's very serious. So I'm looking forward to seeing especially something like Netflix, they take their stuff seriously. I feel like this will be a similar situation. They'll really confront this very, very serious issue, and I'm excited for that. So
yeah, the acting looks really powerful. It's like you said, it has like this really kind of like tastefully artful cinematography that really kind of just draws your eye in. It could be like one of those things to where if it's so good and Netflix wanted to like release it in theaters for a week or whatever, it could possibly be up for a couple nominations or whatever. Like it looks like that type of movie. And it looks like Lily Collins is really going to kind of push herself into doing a really kind of powerful role to really kind of establish her career. Because yeah, she's been in movies, but it's just been kind of fodder all throughout the industry. So it's nothing that really kind of sticks. So it will be nice to kind of see her do something it is a dangerous weight loss role to really put your body through. However, it's really important to tell these types of stories because there are a lot of people, like Joel said, are going through this, on a daily basis or has been affected by it. So it's nice to like have a movie that kind of, speaks to them and really kind of, kind of helps them, I guess. I don't know. I can't really relate. I'm fat as fuck. So I suffer from obesity basically, and that's not even a joke. I'm a big human being. Joel has seen me. I think I'm like 3 times bigger than Joel. Like, let's just put it to you that way if you wanted to like picture us. So I'm basically Andre the Giant, and he's Wallace Shawn from The Princess Bride. So
inconceivable, man.
Inconceivable. Yeah, but the trailer looks really good, and I'm just, man, Netflix, man, you fucking guys are awesome. Like, just, so good. Speaking of being awesome, the last trailer that we're going to talk about for the week, we talked about a really serious one, and so let's talk about something that has dry, irreverent humor plagued throughout, and that would be Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later. Yes, more yes, yes. So, if you guys don't know, Wet Hot American Summer is a film from 2001 about these kind of overgrown people playing teenagers. That's kind of like the whole, tongue-in-cheek joke part of it because, camp counseling, summer camp type movies always had like, counselors or people that attended the camps that obviously were older than their teenage years, and yet they still play teenagers in the movie. So they're kind of playing along with that riff, and it's got like this dry wit to it. It's just really good. It's directed by David Wayne, and it's got Michael Ian Black in it and Michael Showalter, who those 3 guys were a part of a Stella comedy group, and they had their own show on Comedy Central, and of course they've ventured off and done other stuff. Showalter directs a lot of movies. He directed one last year. He's got one coming out this year. It's getting a lot of good buzz. David Wayne always has made really decent comedies, like with Role Models, and of course he did the Wet Hot American Summer prequel series that came out on Netflix last year, and that was an 8-episode run about the kind of weeks leading up to the movie. Now this one is 10 years after the movie, because at the end of the movie, they're all sitting on the porch steps or whatever, and they're like, whatever we're doing 10 years from now, let's all make sure we meet up or something like that. I forgot what the line was, but so now we are 10 years later. And this trailer's super funny. I like it might be childish and like dumb, stupid humor to some people, but God damn it, Joel, if it doesn't make me laugh. Like, Paul Rudd is such a ridiculous character, but everything that comes out of his mouth, whether it be in the prequel series, in the movie, and even in this trailer, it makes me giggle. I have a fun time with it. I love all the characters. It is going to be interesting to see if that joke will still kind of play out, because 10 years later, obviously, they're going to be, matured as adults, and so they're actually... I mean, they're still older, like, actors and actresses and whatnot, so I guess they're still technically playing younger people. But, yeah, it looks hilarious. And, if I had to pick my favorite Elizabeth Banks thing this week, it would definitely not be Pitch Perfect 3, and it would be this one, because she's also in it. This was also the film, the 2001 film that launched Bradley Cooper. That was his first ever film role, if you guys don't know the story. I think he went to NYU for acting. He said that he graduated and he started shooting Wet Hot American Summer. I think he said like 2 days later. So he got like his first gig out of school, and of course Bradley Cooper is Bradley Cooper now. So this film and this franchise has launched a lot of people's careers. I mean, Paul Rudd has been acting way before that, but this kind of threw his improv comedy chops a little bit. Of course, Amy Poehler, Janine Garofalo, Chris Maloney, H. John Benjamin, and then, of course, Michael Ian Black and Michael Showalter. It's a film franchise and a franchise in general that has launched so many people into their respective kind of fields now, and this just looks so great. It looks like it's a nice companion piece to not only the prequel series from last year, but the movie. So I cannot wait for this. It comes out in July. So yes, give me more of this universe. So Joel has said some stuff in the past that makes me kind of like not be mad at him, but just be really disappointed. And the fact that he has never seen the movie or the prequel series makes my heart hurt. So Joel, as someone that has never been even exposed to this kind of like universe, watching the trailer, are you kind of curious now? Do you kind of want to go back and watch the other things?
Okay, so I have a series. I have to build up to this. This is my This is my How I Met Your Mother of what I think of this trailer. So I have some things to confess. They're not going to seem related yet. First one, I am one of maybe 7 people in the world who liked Grown Ups 2. I'll get back to that in a second. Okay.
Joel, you're not winning anyone with your argument right now. They have all signed off and they're done.
Okay. So I have not seen Wet Hot American Summer or the related franchisee things. However, I'm somehow a big fan of David Wayne because I loved Role Models, I loved Wanderlust, and I loved They Came Together. Especially They Came Together, which was right outside my top 10 that year. I thought that was an absolutely hilarious movie. So, furthering this, I had forgotten to watch this trailer until I saw it on my notes after I called Chase to record this episode. So I watched it during the call. Now, something that y'all need to know is that we don't like to tell each other what we think of the trailers that we watch or the movies that we watch.
Oh, no, it was weird. Like, Joel literally stepped aside for 2.5 minutes. It was silent, right? He watches it, he comes back and he goes, I'm ready to record. I'm like, wow. Like, there was no emotion whatsoever inflicted in his voice.
Okay, so there's a reason for that. Okay, so, so I had to step away, and I watched it, and I came back. It was very hard for me to not laugh out loud while I was talking to you.
Yes.
Because what happened was, because we don't like to tell each other what we think. This looks absolutely hilarious. I cannot wait. I'm gonna be renting the original if I can find it on DVD. I'm gonna watch the other thing if it's readily available, and I'm gonna definitely be watching this because I love all of these people. This movie, this series or movie or whatever it is, looks hilarious. It is my kind of humor. Hence the Grown Ups 2 thing. I like random stuff that makes me laugh. If it makes me laugh like a jackass, I'm in. This made me laugh in my head, because I was intentionally hiding it like a jackass. I cannot wait. It looks so funny. I love all of these people. There's so many people that I recognize, and it's not even for comedy. Like Josh Charles is in this, and I recognize him from The Good Wife, which is a completely opposite role. He plays a lawyer in that. So anyway, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Thank you, Netflix, for getting me finally to get to this point where I'm actually going to do this now, where I actually watch the movie, because I've been wanting to for a while, just kept putting it off. But, when does this start? Did it say?
So, are you talking about this, the 10 years later one?
When does this play?
That one, all the episodes drop on July 24th.
Wow. Okay, that doesn't give me a lot of time, but I will at least watch the movie before that point. I got a lot on my plate. But,
like Joel, my suggestion to you is watch the movie, then watch the prequel series, which is only 8 episodes long. It's not even that long. You can probably breeze by it. Then watch the 10 years later.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely will, because this looks like it appeals directly to me. I love random, just stupid humor like this. When it's funny, this made me laugh. Again, in my head. I can't wait. And I was actually using a bit of misdirection. This is my favorite trailer of the week. I didn't want you to know what I thought of that trailer, basically. So, I mean, thank you for your service. Looks great. But when it comes to just, I was smiling huge. Like, if we could see each other through Skype, you would have seen it. I was totally down with this. I can't wait. So, I know that you're happy to hear that.
Oh, it's amazing. Like, a lot of people, like, when they watch, like, the trailer to the movie or, like, the series or whatever, they're just like, dude, this looks like stupid, dumb humor. Like, why are you into this? But I'm telling you, David Wayne is, like, the master at doing dry, stupid humor, but it always works. Like, I would say, like, 95% of the time, it works. Like, it's hardly ever a miss with him.
I gave Role Models, and they came together, both A-minuses, to get into like letter grade stuff. And I think I gave Wanderlust a B or a B plus, and it was really good as well. I like the other two a little bit more. They're with stuff like improv, because this is clearly going to be a lot of it's going to be improv. It's sort of hit and miss, and I felt like Wanderlust was a little more hit and miss than the others. But I've liked all 3 of them. I need to see the 10 as well. That was another one.
The 10 was pretty good. I actually that one. It's a riff on the 10 Commandments. If you guys were knowing what that one was, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, we have a copy of it at work, so I should probably rent that. But yeah, definitely looking forward to this.
Finally, so. Joel, I'm glad that you can get on the wet hot American summer train. So just enjoy it for the good old parody that it is, because it is a parody first and foremost of the kind of like old school summer camp movies from like the 70s and 80s and stuff. So good stuff. So that will do it for the trailers, guys. What was your favorite trailer of the week? Please comment down below and let us know. I am in agreement with Joel. Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later, all day, every day. All right, so guys, when you click on the episode that's called Transformers: The Last Night, you probably assume that we're going to talk about it and try to make sense of it. Now, that's what we're going to try to do, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to fail at it, because this is basically just like throwing everything in the kitchen sink and pressing the garbage disposal and seeing what happens. So that is the portion that we have come to, folks, is the review of the highly anticipated Michael Bay extravaganza, the 82nd installment, Transformers: The Last Night. Joel, I don't know where to start with this, so I guess we'll do our traditional ramp-ups, if it's franchises and whatnot, or sequels. So, back in, what was the first one, 2007? Yeah. Okay, so I was 17 at the time. I saw the first Transformers. I thought it was enjoyable. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. It's an interesting take on this kind of cartoon series. Then the Revenge of the Fallen came out. I wanted to punch myself in the dick. Dark of the Moon came out. I didn't really care for Dark of the Moon, but that ending Chicago sequence was better than all of number 2. Like, I absolutely love just the carnage that Optimus Prime did in that sequence. It was like a 45-minute long battle scene. It was amazing. I started this podcast in 2013, and Age of Extinction came out in 2014. I actually didn't review it. It was one of those movies I skipped. So this is actually the first Transformers movie I'm going to be reviewing on this show. And a little kind of tidbit about Age of Extinction for me, and I'll throw it over to Joel, is that I never paid for the movie. I never rented it. I never saw it. But I won a contest, and I got a 3D Blu-ray version of it. And I still have yet to watch it. We'll finish it. I watched like the first 45 minutes up until when T.J. Miller died in the weirdo like Terminator dying pose, and then I gave up after that. But so yeah, I actually never gave any money to that movie yet. I have a copy of it. It's because I won a contest. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then, of course, I wasn't looking forward to this, but I wanted to give it a shot because I think Joel's probably going to say the same thing. It's like I wasn't expecting much. But when they have all these writers in the writer's room and whatnot, who knows? They could have polished the turd a little bit better. So I will say that I didn't care for it. That's what I'll lead off with. But Joel, tell me about your experience with this franchise.
Well, it's interesting. It comes in kind of two phases because I will say that before 2010, I was an undiscerning poop head. I did not actually watch. I mean, I reviewed movies for 3 years of that decade, but I really was not very discerning. I didn't like the idea of disliking movies before this decade started. I felt like I was very much of the opinion that a lot of people are about critics right now, which is that it's kind of mean to complain, and of course I only saw it as complaining then. So I loved the first two when I saw them in theaters, and in fact, I will provide the link because I am completely fine. I'll have Chase provide the link, I should say, because I'm completely fine with y'all mocking 2009 me. I actually gave Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen 4 stars originally.
Joel. Oh, little Joel.
I called it a masterpiece of action filmmaking because I didn't know anything.
Oh God.
So, then when 2011 came around, I had just gotten back. I didn't see it when it initially came out, but I had gone on to doing. I'd been in the Air Force basic military training for 8 weeks. So I came back and I saw the movie, which had been in theaters for a few weeks at that point. And that was the first one where I was like, whatever. So then 2014 came around with Age of Extinction, and I decided that I would watch the first two literally for the first time since the theaters. I had owned the first Transformers for a while, but I hadn't watched it since I bought it. I bought it and then it sat on a shelf. So I watched it again, and I watched the second one again, and really did not like either of them. In fact, the second one is still my least favorite. As of today. So, it's and then the third one I revisited. It's okay. It's blah. It's the quote unquote best of the franchise. I think it's the one that features the most interesting build up. And then I really don't like the Chicago scene. You and I differ on that. I think it's a bunch of nonsense. But nevertheless, then there was the fourth one, which literally nothing happens in that movie. Absolutely nothing. They start a bunch of plot points, including the weird statutory rape thing with, no, you didn't get to that, I don't think, did you? Where the one character wants to sleep with Mark Wahlberg's daughter even though she's underage, or I don't know.
I mean, anyway, that's literally in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that's right. And they don't even finish that. Nothing comes of that plot point. And literally nothing happens. It starts a bunch of stuff and then it leads off into just the climax, and basically nothing solved. So it's a completely pointless movie. So this one, it was it was just kind of a sigh. It is an exasperated sigh coming after this. I wasn't really looking forward to it. I really had no feelings because I'm not entirely opposed to Michael Bay. I know that he gets a lot of flack. I think that the bad Michael Bay is when he's PG-13 usually. There are a couple of PG-13 movies from him that I like. Armageddon and The Island. I think that those are pretty solid. Too long, both of them, but pretty solid. But these movies, as I call them, the toy movies, I don't like them. I think that Michael Bay is most interesting when he's R-rated. Bad Boys 2, I think, is his best film, and I love The Rock as well. And I think that he's, Pain and Gain, 13 Hours, both really solid. I think that he's best when he is rated R. So this new one, coming up to it was just kind of apathetic. And it's not very good. I'm going to have to disappoint anybody who thought that I might rip this apart, though, because I think it's the quote-unquote second best of this franchise. I think it's better than the first, second, and fourth movies. And I'll get into why that is later on. I'm not as like flame war as a lot of people are right now toward it. I'm a little more apathetic. I think it's more boring than bad. But I'll let you go first to get into your thoughts.
Yeah, it's while I was watching it, like I said this out loud, and I really didn't care if I bothered anyone. I was like, this movie is batshit insane crazy. Like it really is. Like there's just so much thrown in there, and you're like, they're going all over the place trying to salvage this franchise, and it was like watching a magnificent train wreck. I want you to take the scene in Matrix Reloaded, the highway scene. It was like watching that. It was like, it's an interesting visual spectacle, but you're like, there's so much going on. It's like, you can't look away. It's one of those enticing, fiery car wrecks that you just can't steer away from. And so, when the movie was done, I kind of walked out. Well, first of all, I'm really pissed that they threw an end credit scene there, because they said this was going to be the last one, with this kind of like storyline. It's like, Jesus, fuck you. Paramount, if they didn't have this franchise, they probably would have filed for bankruptcy 4 years ago. Like, I'm being honest with you. Like, this is the only, and maybe like a few hits here and there, but this is the one franchise keeping them afloat. And when they had all those writers in that room, I was like, okay, so they're really trying to take care of it. Maybe they're trying to do something different. They're going to, change up a bit, not have it be so Michael Bay'd all over the place, and give us something fresh. But it's the same old shit. I'm sorry, but you got to get another director into this franchise. Michael Bay has a distinct style, whether you like him or whether you hate him, but when you're doing it for 5 movies in a row, it becomes stale. One of my biggest complaints about all these movies in this franchise is that the action, while visually intriguing and very well done on the VFX side, they are boring and stale to watch. And it's like, these are Transformers. These are giant-ass talking robots fighting other robots. It should be really fucking cool to witness, yet it comes across as like, just very, like a sugar-coated cereal. It's just like, it's sweet, I guess, and whatnot, but the more you keep digging in, it's just like this, it's just the same. There's no texture to it. It's all the same kind of level playing field, and you figure by the 5th one you change up his style a little bit, but no, we're still getting fireworks being shot off from the ground and people flying all over the place. We're getting Dutch angles. We're getting very saturated colors. We're getting very terrible acting and terrible one-liners. We're getting terrible, humor that Michael Bay thinks he's funny, but it's not. It doesn't work. In this one, I'm going to have to disagree with Joel. It's one of the worst ones because it is boring. It is one of the shorter ones, but it's boring as all hell. I fell asleep for 2 minutes, and I woke up, and I was like, did I miss anything? Nope. Anthony Hopkins just explained everything. Yeah, it's just... they had, 4 different storylines going at once. And they had, 4 different tones going on at once. So, like I said, it was like a clusterfuck. It was like a beautiful clusterfuck that you were just kind of astonished that this movie cost almost damn near $300 million, and you're like, how did this make it into theaters? I was actually just baffled by all the shit that was happening. The only saving grace throughout this entire franchise, and I said this when I walked out, and I'll say it again, those VFX artists kick ass. Like, I absolutely love the visuals in all 5 of them. I do. I really like the way the Transformers look. I like the intricate detail in the cars, and I like when they're, they have the close-ups on their face, and you can see, like, the intricate gears and, like, the rotors, like, working. I love that shit. And the fact that they're nominated for VFX Oscars every single time around is justified. Like, these guys work their asses off. The problem is the movie itself is just kind of like this Michael Bay turd that doesn't ever blossom into something exciting. Like, these are action films, Joel. They're action fantasy, yet it looks like a 7-year-old just threw out a bunch of ideas and was like, all right, let's go with that, and then let's make it as, bright and colorful with no excitement. Like, it's an action film. You're supposed to be excited when you're watching these sequences, and it gets so tiresome. It just gets boring. So, oh, wait, am I on my negatives? Sorry. Positives, the VFX are good. And, like, seriously, like, that's the only common thing I've found throughout all 5 of them, is that the visual effects are breathtaking. And I did actually like that battle scene towards the end of this one with Bumblebee and Optimus Prime on the floating fucking ship island or whatever it was. I was like, this has got some really interesting cinematography. It's got some interesting shots, but then it just goes back to, Marky Mark saying, like, some shit one-liner, and then, of course, we got the hot scientist chick, flying all over the place, like, looking like a fucking blow-up doll. It's such a headache. It's such a headache, Joel. So I guess I pretty much spilled the beans on my whole thoughts about the movie, because the visual effects are the only thing that's good about them, for sure. And then if you want to go to the acting, it's just watching this one, it was almost painful to witness for Mark. Like, it just looked like he was just struggling with every single line. I was like, oh my dear God. And, with Anthony Hopkins and, like, all of his lines were, like, so sarcastic, and you're just like, is that him just being angry at him being in this movie, or is it like that's his character? I couldn't really tell. So, didn't really care for most of this movie at all, and it was pretty fucking boring. So, Joel, I'll throw it over to you, and then after that, I'll fucking wrap up and give my score.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll go a little bit into depth, and actually, you pinpointed why I didn't try to do a plot synopsis. Usually, I do, but it's kind of impossible to determine what.
Yeah, because it bounces all over the fucking place.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think that it was in a way that was entirely insulting to me, and that was a bit of a breath of fresh air. Maybe it was just the feeling of boredom, but I wasn't as offended by it as by, like, the second one. So I think that there are a few positives, though, and I'm gonna do my best to explain those. I actually think that Anthony Hopkins is solid here. I mean, it's an entirely functional role, but I think that he is at least injecting a bit of fun into, the only way he can, which is explaining things over and over again. If you want to have exposition, you got to have a great actor delivering it. No matter how boring the role is, get a great actor to do it, and it won't sound boring, even though it is. And I think that him constantly reiterating facts about the Transformers, it's neat to see a big respected actor like this, even though it's sad to see as well, doing this kind of role. So I think that he's solid given the constraints of the role. It's interesting how we're basically opposite-minded on the action scenes, because I don't like the last action scene at all. I think it's basically like a kid just jumped into a bunch of Transformers action figures, and then they all went into the air. That's basically the only that's what it reminded me of. But I think that some of the early action scenes are pretty clever. There's one. Well, I will say the end action scene with, like, the gravity thing, where suddenly they lose gravity. That's pretty neat. Neat little concept. Wasn't really.
That's what I was talking about. Was like there were some sequences in that were really cool. I was talking more of, like, the Bumblebee Optimus floating island scene. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, it was like, okay, we're getting to the essence of these films, which is Transformers, not humans, Transformers. So when you have two people or two robots fighting like that, and you're like, okay, this is what we came here for, folks. So yeah, but and Joel knows what I'm talking about. That anti-gravity scene, there was a shot that was so funny with, I'm gonna say someone was throwing someone, and it looks so fake, and I busted out laughing. I was like, I shouldn't be laughing at this.
Well, see, what I think actually best sort of describes this kind of toy explosion in the movie feeling. There's a scene early on where Bumblebee comes in and has been completely like destroyed, so all of his pieces are on the ground, or her pieces, whatever, are on the ground, and then they all come together, and the coming together of the pieces basically throws everybody else away, causes a bunch of explosions, and I feel like that kind of conceiving of that kind of action scene is what Bay's trying to get at, and constantly doesn't deliver in these movies. I think that there's a sense of sort of rambunctious grin on the face fun there that I kind of liked. And then yeah, I mean the performances other than Hopkins, he's the best one here.
Okay, so I will give you that. Like,
yeah,
at least Anthony Hopkins is actually, he's hamming up the role, but it looks like he's having fun, rather than Mark Wahlberg, who looks like he's bored as dick and just like, give me my paycheck so I can go have another family trip with my wife.
It looked like he was constantly having a bad day every day before he came on set.
Exactly.
He looks really, really disinterested in literally everything. His entire performance is disinterested. The guy, he's not even performing here. It's just like he's standing there or running around or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you have John Turturro basically literally phoning in his role.
I see what you did there.
Taking a Vera drawing. And then the little girl that's like in the first half and then doesn't come for literally an hour and a half later, Isabella Moner as the little survivalist, whatever.
Well, once again, it was like 4 different movies. It's like, you're right, she was there, and it looked like she was going to be a prominent role, and then I remember, I was watching the movie, and when she showed up again, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot, she was in this.
Yeah, and then there's Laura Haddock, who plays the professor that does something or other. She's basically the smart woman that the movie at one point literally makes a point to tell us is a bad driver. What? Anyway, nevertheless, really regressive role for a woman in this movie, specifically because the movie still, the cinematography makes love to her, basically. That's what Michael Bay movies do to their female characters, and that's the same thing here. She's the smart one, yet she's also bad at driving, and also she's really fun to objectify with the cinematography. It's really off-putting how they treat her. And, there are other actors, whatever. Josh Duhamel comes back to literally do absolutely nothing of note. And it looks, and, you can see it on his face. It's not a very good movie. For me, it's like, it's almost as if, and I'm going to make a shocking statement here. I think that the overarching problem of this movie is the screenplay. I
totally agree.
Basically no screenplay in this movie, but nevertheless, the fact that the co-writers, 2 of the co-writers from Iron Man and the screenwriter of Black Hawk Down came together to make this is really sad. Art Markham, Matt Holloway, and Ken Nolan. Really, really sad that they've pieced together this barely a movie screenplay. I think that that's the problem with the movie. A lot of people hang every single problem with every Michael Bay movie on Michael Bay, and I'm going to make a shocking statement. I actually think that of the director-screenwriter pairings here, he's the one who comes out the best. Because I think that what is refreshing about his approach to this movie is that he doesn't care about the plot. There's so much plot in this movie, none of it makes sense, and that's on the screenwriters. What Bay is doing is he's focusing on his part of it, which is creating big, gigantic action scenes, a lot of explosions. I think he puts a lot of effort into that. I think that the creative team is on fire. I think it's actually the best-looking movie in this franchise. I've always had a problem with how the cinematography lights the Transformers in the movies. I didn't have a problem with that here. I think that they look great, both as visual effects creations and in the lighting in terms of how the images are made. I think they look great here. And I think that that can be gone back to Bay, who directs his creative team well to make the best movie that they can visually and with the action sequences. It's a very, very, very small thing though in the big picture, because it really fails in every other respect. The actors don't work. The story is completely incomprehensible. But the fact of the incomprehensibility, I felt like I didn't have a huge problem with it this time around. It didn't bother me as much as it did in the first, second, or fourth movies, which I felt were all pretty bad. And it sort of reminded me of the third one in that way, where I just didn't really mind the nonsense, I guess. So that's what I'm leading up to. But you go ahead and sum up and give your grade, and then I'll do mine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to compare it to what we were talking about last week with All Eyes on Me. The perfect word to describe this with its screenplay is it's sloppy. It's all over the place. Like, there's no cohesion. There's no, like, actual focus on a specific thing. They just wanted to cram, King Arthur and the Round Table. They want to have this weirdo Stranger Things knockoff. They wanted to have, fucking Merlin and all that shit. It's just
okay.
Yeah, it's just so all over the place that this one felt longer than the previous installments, and I think that's where it kind of loses people. When we get to the box office results, people are getting tired of this franchise domestically, not worldwide. God bless people, but domestically it is not doing well. And I think people are starting to realize that if you want to continue doing this franchise, you need fresh blood. I am with Joel. I don't think Michael Bay should get as much flack as he does. His name is still on it, and it's still a part of his filmography, but he has done interesting work in the past. When you look at the Bad Boys films, that captured a specific tone and essence and really had this like action-driven plot that was exciting to watch, and it all made the better with the chemistry of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. When you think about The Rock, it's like a great prison break-in movie. It's got some fun action sequences. It's got, Nicolas Cage in it. It's an enjoyable film to watch. When you look at Pain and Gain, it's got, as much as people hate it, it's got a darkly comedic tone to it, to a serious event that happened. It was something different. It wasn't made for everyone, but he tried something different. Now, it still got his same like visual aesthetic, like the oversaturation and whatnot, but at least he tried something. I hear 13 Hours is solid. But with these Transformers films, Joel nailed it on the head. The PG-13 rating does not do him any favors. It just becomes sugary cereal at this point. With no texture, it's just straight up sugary, colorful brightness that doesn't have any weight to it. So when you're watching it, it's almost like this vapid, like action sequence kind of happening in front of you, and you're like, I don't really feel as like heart pounding or like exciting while watching this. It just feels just so empty. And they tried something different with all the writers and the screenplay, but it just came out super sloppy. So when you notice that, everything around it just becomes worse and worse as the movie goes along. And on top of that, you get the weak-ass performances of, God, fucking Mark Wahlberg. Like, he reminded me of Jennifer Lawrence in X-Men Apocalypse, where it's like you just don't give a fuck. You're just there to collect a paycheck. You didn't give any effort whatsoever. Your character's dull. I don't give a shit about anything that's happening to you. And of course, the scientist chick, at least with Anthony Hopkins, like Joel said, he had fun with it, even though it was very exposition heavy. That's all he was there for. But if I want to, like I said, not rip it totally to shreds, the one thing that's been consistent is the VFX artists, because they kick so much ass at creating these robots, and just the intricacy in the way they look and how you can see the paint, being scratched off, or you can see the gears and the rotors moving. It's very well done creatively. I will say that. So it will probably get nominated for an Oscar. So don't cry about it when it happens, because it will, rightfully so. But I just think at this point, what this review boils down to in this examination of this 5-film franchise, it needs a different voice. And you're going to get that with the Bumblebee spinoff, which you can definitely tell the scenes in this movie with Bumblebee were definitely showcasing him going, hey, he's got a movie coming out. That's basically all of his scenes were. But that one's going to have a different voice with Travis Knight, who did Kubo and the Two Strings, and he is the owner of Leica Animation. So that will be fascinating, and I'm excited to see fresh blood. Michael Bay, you've done your job. Please move on. It needs a breath of fresh air. For the visual component alone, and some of the sets were okay looking. I'll give it a D+. I mean, these films have, except for the first one, they've all been D movies to me, but I always give it that plus because I'm telling you, like, the work that goes into the visual effects is astounding to me in a very positive way. So I will give it the edge up because those VFX people work their asses off for these movies. So D+ for me. Joel, what is your final assessment of this, and what grade will you give it?
Yeah, so I'll actually do a series grade thing. I gave a D+ to the first one, a D to the second one, a C, I think, to the third one, D+ to the fourth one. This one, I'm going to give it a C-, and I'll just say that I think that there's the phantom of effort here. I think that it occasionally works as not exciting but diverting, which is a good little step up for the series. And but it's not very good. I mean, it's not a good movie. It really is it's very sloppy, as you said. I mean, it's just kind of there. It just kind of sits on the screen. You can do worse. There have been worse blockbusters this year, including one that I don't want to name because I will be killed and y'all have to suspect Chase. But I think it's slightly better than some of the bad ones, but it's just kind of right there in the middle.
I would say it's like it's not in the middle and it's not the worst. It's like teetering on the edge of worse, but I'll give that slight edge up because some of the worst films this year they're kind of just inexcusable. At least with like this one, if you like robots fighting, you get spurts of that. So I will say that.
It's certainly a slightly more interesting movie than The Mummy, which is a lot worse. And it's also, I think, better than King Arthur. Talking about the summer movies, it's a better movie than King Arthur as well. And I think that the hatred has been a little overstated, the awfulness of it, the supposed awfulness. I think it's I don't think it's a good movie, but I didn't think it was terrible. I felt like I was just watching something that was obligatory, and again I just wasn't offended or insulted. So I'm gonna give it a C-. So
yeah, it's just a very $260 million, Joel. What the fuck? Paramount, please give me that money. So what about you guys? It doesn't matter what we think, but what about you guys? What did you think of the Transformers last night? Did you even like this one? Have you liked the previous ones? I will probably watch all of Age of Extinction when I'm dead. Yeah, let us know what you think of the franchise and all that stuff. So speaking of that, let's roll into the box office results for the weekend. Joel is the guesser for this week, and as usual, he gets the hints of how many movies opened this week, and I will give him just that. Joel, there was one major release, and there were three indies. So those are your hints.
So the indies. Oh, okay. The Beguiled, The Big Sick,
and the Bad Batch.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming that none of those got in there. And I don't know any numbers. I know that Transformers underperformed, just the general fact of that. But I'm going to guess that by default, it was still at the top. All right, I'm gonna say maybe number 5 is The Mummy. Number 4, gosh, is All Eyes on Me. Number 3 is Wonder Woman. Number 2 is Cars 3, and number 1 is Transformers.
Joel, you got 3 out of the 5. That's actually pretty good. You got a 60 on this one, so you barely passed. So, first of all, yes, you were right. None of these smaller releases made it in there. However, The Big Sick actually garnered a lot of news this week because it was one of the highest per theater averages. It only came out in 5 theaters, but it made $435,000, which is really good. It made on average about $87,000 per theater, so that's pretty awesome. Also, The Beguiled came out in 4 theaters. That also was pretty well done. It was $240,000 with a 60,000 average, so that's actually really good for both of those. I've been hearing great things on both. I'm sure Joel and I both cannot wait to watch that. The Bad Batch actually opened up in 30 theaters and only made $91,000 with only $3,000 as its average. So you can definitely tell what people picked this weekend. All right, so number 5. Now these are the weekend numbers. Now the Monday numbers could change, but as of right now, Joel, got this one wrong. It's All Eyes on Me with, get this, $5.85 million. The Mummy came in at number 6 with $5.836. So it was only off by like less than $20,000. So it could change by tomorrow, but these are the weekend numbers, so we're just going by what the weekend says. But the most interesting thing about All Eyes on Me was Joe and I both fucking obliterated last weekend. It dropped 78%. Like, because if you guys remember, last week it opened up to like 27 or where 30. Like, it was a high number. It dropped almost 80%. I think people that wanted to see that movie saw it, and that was it. Because then everyone else was like, no, this is not a good movie. So that is interesting on that front. Number 4.
I will tell you real fast. So today at work, there was a couple who came in who bought a bunch. They bought Straight Outta Compton. There was a couple of other. They were in that hip hop movie arena. I think they bought Above the Rim. And I happened to ask, "Have you seen All Eyes on Me yet?" And they said, "Yeah, it was awful." So yeah, they were directly within that audience, and they did not like it at all. So I'm guessing that there was a lot of negative feedback, and that's the reason for the drop, because people within the audience, within the demographic, don't like it very much, and so that's not a good sign.
Because I'll guarantee you all those people that wanted to see it saw it last weekend, and then they told their friends and family, like, fuck that, don't see that movie. So that's probably why it dropped so much, but rightfully so, because the movie's garbage. Number 4 is 47 Meters Down with $7.4 million. It actually only dropped 33%. That's not bad. So right now, I forgot to do All Eyes on Me, so let me do that real fast. Sorry about that. It's been a long week, guys, on drugs. So right now, All Eyes on Me doesn't have any worldwide total or any budget listed, but it has made $38 million, which is more than enough. God, gross. So 47 Meters Down was $7.4 million. Right now, domestically, it's made $24. I think that movie costs like maybe less than $3. So they definitely made their money back for sure, capitalizing on the shark trend.
I'm hearing it was pretty cheap to make. So
yeah, and I liked the movie quite a bit. It was very entertaining. I would choose that movie any day over Transformers, The Mummy, anything else that we've seen that's been terrible. Here is where it gets amazing. As of right now, Joel has the top 3 locked. He guessed it. He got him correct. But get this. Number 3 is Wonder Woman. Number 2 is Cars 3. They both have the same amount. To the exact They both made $25.175 million this weekend. Now, it's going to change tomorrow, but at the time of this recording, they're both listed as the same amount, which I don't think I've ever seen before. So that's really cool. Wonder Woman actually only dropped 40% in its fourth weekend. Like, what the hell? Like, this thing is like catching on fire. Wonder Woman's doing really good domestically. It's got 318. Worldwide, it's at 652 on a $149 million budget. So, yeah, they're doing just fine. Because if you guys, keep in mind, you got double the budget, which is, going to run at 298 plus all the marketing and stuff. I'm going to say they probably poured about anywhere from 50 to 75. So I'm going to say for shits and gigs, let's say 350 to break even. Yeah, they've made almost 300 million more than that. So good for them. Cars 3, which I actually saw this past weekend. I actually think Cars 3 should have been Cars 2, and Cars 3 should have been Lightning McQueen training a younger prodigy and having his arc completed, but whatever, I'm not a story head. I thought it was just a very bland movie, to be honest with you. There was really nothing that happened. It was basically just an hour and a half training montage. That's all it was, folks. But right now, domestically, it's got 99 million, which is pretty low for this franchise, and it's only got 141 worldwide, which is even lower for Pixar. No budget is listed, so hopefully they're done with that franchise. And number 1, Transformers: The Last Night. Now, this movie opened up on Wednesday. So the Wednesday total, Wednesday to Sunday, is 69 million. But just from a weekend standpoint, from Friday to Sunday, it only made 45. Like, that's really, really bad. And people are starting to catch on. Now, domestically, it's made 69. Worldwide, it's made 265. So fuck me sideways, they're going to continue to make these because people in China just love to get their rocks off on fucking Transformers. And if I have any people from China that are listening to this wonderful show, we appreciate your support. But it is true. China is the main factor for making these movies profitable. Case in point, Triple X3, profitable in China. Now they're making a fourth one. Warcraft, profitable in China and probably Japan, making a sequel. It's crazy on how the foreign box office is that important. So, Transformers: Last Night, you are definitely the lowest in the franchise, and hopefully this is the start of something awesome, which is hopefully either getting fresh blood or killing the franchise completely. So that is it for the box office results, guys. So thank you for listening to this episode 188. It's been a nice one. So Joel. Next week, I'm super excited. Joel is super excited. Because for episode 189, we have come to that point. It is the halfway point. We are doing our top 10 films of 2017 so far. And also, as a little present for you guys, I will actually release the episode on the 30th of June, which is technically the exact halfway point of the year. And we will release it 2 days early. So it will come out on Friday, and that will be next week's episode. First of all, Joel, are you excited about the episode? And where can the people find you online?
Yeah, I'm really excited to record it. We're recording it, I think, on Tuesday evening. And also, I just wanted to let people know that because we're recording it on Tuesday evening, there are certain movies that are being released that we haven't seen yet or won't be able to see by the time it records. For me, the ones that might qualify for such a list would be The Beguiled and The House. I'm seeing those on Friday and Thursday, respectively. And then I believe, well, really kind of the same, I guess, for Chase, but also Baby Driver. I was able to see Baby Driver because of his week. He was not. But nevertheless, I'm super excited to record it. What's really fun is the fact that I will have a special mention. We'll go into the specifics of the show, but I've got basically exactly 10 movies, and an honorable / special mention to mention outside of it, and it just is kind of a perfect storm of how that transpired. But it just has to do with the amount of movies I saw and all that. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk over. And And then y'all can find me at my own website, joelonfilm.com. I've got a review of Transformers up now. I gave it 2 stars on my website. I'm over at Letterboxd at J Copling. I'm about to upload a bunch of content, backlog content, onto podcastingthemsoftly.com over the next couple of weeks because I've been kind of quiet there. I got a new job and my schedule just kind of went through this major upheaval, so I haven't really been posting there, even though I'm on staff with that website as a contributor. I'm also obviously Dallas movie screenings. I've got one coming up this weekend, review for them. That's the official podcast of this. I mean, that's the official podcast. That's the official site of this podcast, or we're the official podcast of the site. Whatever, same direction. So yeah, that's my internet footprint. I'm on Twitter, Copling_Joel. So follow my daily ramblings there, and yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's @RealChaseLee. Subscribe to iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, all that stuff will all be in the links in the description below. But most importantly, guys, please spread this around. Please help us grow it even more and let people know that it's a pretty good little podcast, And hey, listen, if they're not movie fans and they listen to this, well, hopefully we convinced you and everyone else out there that you spread it to be a movie fan, because that's what Joel and I like doing. Even if it's something as bad as Transformers, we still like talking about it because we're psychotic people. So yeah, that will do it for this week's episode of Real Me and Colin, a movie podcast. Next week is the top 10 of the year so far. The following week after that is Spider-Man Homecoming, and the following week after that is War for the Planet of the Apes. We got a great lineup for you guys for the next 3 weeks, so please tune in for that. Spread this around. We always love you guys. You guys are the fucking best. We have the best audience. We just do. You guys are fucking dope. So please continue to stay awesome, which I know you will, and we will see you guys next week. Let's play the outro music, which is done by my friends band Fervent Roze. All the links in the description. Yo, go check that out. Now I'm gonna probably go get off my high of steroids. So, all right, so we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.